Happy Sabbath. I hope you guys are having a blessed one. And this is Sabbath Journal, number one for 2026 to 2027. And I'm doing it based off the biblical year. So, the year started for us like back in the springtime. So the biblical year is going from, it goes from spring to spring. So that's why I put 2026 to 2027 in there to say happy new moon to anyone who celebrates the new moon, the new month, the second day of the 6th month. And yeah, that's nice. We got Yom Teruah coming up next month. For those who don't know, that's Feast of Trumpets. There's a lot of prophecy that comes with that and all that. And today I just wanted to talk. So this is the first one I'm doing, so I kind of gotta explain the purpose of these Sabbath Journal videos right here are to just be down to earth, you know, just keep it real. Just instead of, you know, teaching and doing all that, man, because we only got one teacher and that's the king. Just keep it simple and do like a weekly recap. And rather than teach y'all the word, I want to be a light through my life and tell y'all what the Most High taught me. So this past week has been nice. We had my daughter's birthday. We had family over, which is real nice. I love being able to host. I love that the Most High has given me the opportunity to host my family and to host my friends. And I pray that you guys get the opportunity to do it. It's really a honor and a blessing and a testament to be a child of Abraham and to have other people at your house and show them a good time. And, simple things like serving them a glass of water, giving them a can of soda, bringing them a plate, throwing their plate away when they're done. When they're done with a can of soda, throwing away the can of soda, throwing some meat on the grill for them and letting them have some food because, cooking is rough sometimes, So giving people a break instead of having to cook at their house or having to go to the store to get something to drink or something to eat, you provide that for them at your house and you provide them some comfort and time to share with family and friends and people they never met, like-minded people, And that's the beauty in hosting. That's the beauty in being a child of Abraham. So that's what I thought about in my Sabbath journal today. That's what we calling this, Sabbath Journal. So what else I want to talk about, man? I start nursing school next week. That's a trip. That's going to be fun. I even started a new YouTube channel. I got to get either 50 shorts uploaded or 50 subscribers. And that's where I'm going to start putting videos like this. This page is going to be strictly for the music, Shamar the Bread, but the YouTube channel is going to be Beethoven Diaz. Beethoven Diaz 1, you can follow that. Because that's my name, man. And the goal of that channel is to show that keeping the Most High's commandments and the testimony of his son, Jesus the Messiah, Yeshua HaMashiach, it is very possible in this day and age. It's very possible. Anyone can do it. It's not for everybody. You can't bend it to the way you want to do it, but it is possible. You just gotta inquire, man. So that's what I'm doing. It's like a vlog, just lifestyle. Show y'all how I live my life as a believer. Living life as a believer in the Most High, it's not a foreign concept, man. In this day and age, it's a foreign concept, but it's not. It's the truth. It's how we were designed. So, with this nursing school, I'm looking forward to it. I've been in the medical field for 11 years, and that really dawned on me, man, 11 years ago, I wasn't keeping the Sabbath. I like to drink and party, what any 20-year-old, the 21-year-old, you know what I'm saying, want to do. want to have a good time, you know. But it was vain, and I praise the Most High that I got to learn that experience and that I'm here now, looking forward to the Sabbath, a day of rest, a day where I can hang out at home with my wife and with my children and give the word to my children. You know, that's why I got that lyric in my track Open Door where it says, peace in the world not his, eating this lamb with my kids, and my wife cook it up at home, wishing I grew up like this. Like this generation, for all my fellow believers out there, we're raising up a righteous generation right now by teaching them all the things that we wish we knew. But it's a matter of doing it. You know, today we was really good. We did this Torah portion right here. Portion Tetzave, which is you shall command. Exodus chapter 27, verse 20 to 30, verse 10. My wife colored the page. You know, it's simple stuff. Like you could go on Chat GPT. You know, I'm not much of an artist, so if anybody knows how to do art, hit me up through the stream. You know, and you just put in like, help me make a video about, not a video, help me make a coloring page about this Bible verse right here for children to learn. And the way I do it is pretty simple. I don't do no intricate PowerPoint presentations or any of that because the kids, you know, they're not ready for all that. So I just keep it simple. I print out the page. They color the page. My wife colors with them. Obviously, my wife colored this. I'm also not good at coloring, so she colored this. I just want to show y'all for an example. Hopefully, inspire you. You know, just keep it simple because I want them to practice being silent and listening, comprehensive listening. So what do? I say while I'm reading, you know, just be quiet, meditate on the words, pay attention, but color, have a good time. And then at the end, I ask them what's their favorite part. If it's a story, if it's like ordinance thing, like, you know, get 2 pounds of olive oil or something like that. That's when I just ask them, is there something that they remember, just to make sure they were listening. Because I'm not going to stress them out with something like that. You know, just keep it simple, man. I don't want my kids to have disdain for the word, because rather than giving it to them as a child, I try to beat them over the heads with it, unfortunately, like a lot of religious institutions do. You know what I mean? It's where I got my church hurt from, where you know, it's a blessing because I'm not Catholic anymore. You know, we could do a whole nother talk about that. It's a blessing in disguise that they didn't do a really good job at teaching me anything. Also didn't want to learn. But you know, there's a lot of things that when I read this word and I learn more about my father and I learn more about his son and I get closer in relationship, that I realize like there's a lot of things that we may consider like, you know, messed up, or maybe we didn't like, but it was for the greater good. Like what did Joseph say? Everything you intended for me, you know, for bad, it was for good. You know, I praise Yah that I didn't like being in Catholic school, that I didn't like Catholicism, that I didn't like it because of the reason that I didn't like it. I was told that I was wrong just for asking questions, just for saying like, hey, this doesn't make sense. Even when I started reading the Bible or looking at like the customs of other nations and being like, hey, you know, in the Bible it says we're not supposed to copy the nations. Why we got this stuff going on here, right? And they'd be like, hey, you know, this is the truth. You better do it, you know, like that. And I circle that back to the point of when it comes to sharing the word with our children, is we can be guilty of doing this. Like, well, because I'm not Catholic doesn't mean that I am not capable of dropping the ball the same way my brothers and sisters over at the Catholic Church dropped the ball, you know, because they're still my brothers, still my sisters. We all the children of Noah, man. Whether we agree or not, agree to disagree, you know. And so that's something I've always been big on. Maybe you could think about that as well. You know, maybe it's about just getting them acquainted with the word rather than hitting them over the head with it, you know. But this Torah portion, you know, it really stood out to me this week, and it even inspired me to do this just because of this whole process, man. Like there's so much in it. Uh, my favorite verse in this Torah portion is actually the beginning of it, and I want to get into it because that was my favorite part. But in this Torah portion, it starts at Exodus chapter 27, verse 10. Here we go. Let me slide over here in the KJV. Exodus 20, sorry, not 10. Exodus chapter 27, verse 20, where it says, "And thou shalt command the children of Israel that they bring thee pure olive oil, beaten for the light, to cause the lamp to burn always." That's my favorite verse. And then, of course, my other favorite verse that I put in this right here. Shout outs to the AI for making it. But this right here, where it says, Exodus chapter 28, verse 2, is from the previous Torah portion, but it's from this Torah portion. Sorry, a little bit of brain fart. But following verse 20, where they're talking about the olive oil, it goes into Exodus chapter 28, verse 2, and it says, "And thou shalt make holy garments for Aaron thy brother, for glory and for beauty." And I just got to thinking, so for the first one with the olive oil, as you can see right here, I got an olive tree. I actually got a bunch of olive trees. You guys can find it on my vlogging and all that lifestyle channel. That's where all of these are going to go once I get 50 subscribers. So if you subscribe to this channel and you like it, go over there. This is going to be strictly music, and I'm going to do my lifestyle stuff over there. But here you go. You got your olives. We're going to get some black olives out of this, man. The blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice, right? And the one who put me on the olives was my father-in-law. He is growing his olive trees are pretty big right now, and I want to get some. And I was a little scared of getting fruit trees in the beginning because I don't have much time on my hands. I work full-time. I go to school full-time. And, I finally said, man, if I could make time for the Most High, I should be able to make time for the things that he made for me to enjoy, like planting trees. Because I love nature, and so why not? And it's actually not that much work. I hope everyone, whether you live in an apartment or in a home or in somebody's barn house or something, or even if you live in a tent, wherever you live at, try to get your hands on a tree, plant it, take care of it, a house plant, something, man. It's awesome. But I got a bunch of these olive trees on clearance at Lowe's this week, and this was the Torah portion. And usually I don't read the Torah portion throughout the week. I save the scripture portion to read it on the Sabbath. Sometimes I'll read it throughout the week. I usually don't. It just depends on the amount of time I have on my hands. But I really like it when I don't read the portion through the week because I have a busy week and the things that I went through in the week aligned with what I'm reading in the scriptures. That's how I hear him talking to me, because the way he talks to us is through his word, right? Now, that's not to say when you hear that voice in your head telling you to do the right thing, that's not him. But if we want to hear him clearly, we got to hear him through his words. That's how he talks to us, through his word. And it was real nice that I found these olive trees on clearance, and, my mom is coming to help us out with the children and all that, and just everything in this portion where it talks about how Moses, the younger brother, is preparing his older brother to lead the people as high priest. That's real humble, man. Like Moses, man. Moses, the guy that the Most High speaks to directly, is ordaining his older brother. And when we're gonna see, when you read later on that this same guy, like this is gonna be the guy to also lead the people, it's a beautiful portion, even though there ain't much to it. But it's a beautiful story because it shows like Everybody got a role, man, and we just got to appreciate the role that we're in, right? Moses could have been like, yo, like, Aaron got some fresh stuff on. I want to wear that. But instead, he was like, no, that's for my brother. That's why Moses was one of the best, man. Even with Yeshua, with Jesus, when he was on the earth and took on flesh, he didn't take on the high priest in the temple sacrificing. He lived as one of us with all the power that he had. He lived, just walked the streets like one of us, man. You know, he could have been everywhere all at once, but he still sent his disciples to go out and teach other people, right? And that's that humbleness. That's the stuff I think about. And with the olives, man, this past week has been a little stressful. Like, all right, what's nursing school gonna be like? Like, yeah, I've been in the medical field 11 years, but nursing school, this is gonna be different, right? Like, I'm not gonna be working like that, so we gotta hunker down financially. I'm gonna have to do a lot of studying, so I won't be able to, go on vacation or do certain things. I'm gonna be real busy while still making time for the Most High and making time for my family. I might have to relax on the art. Like, I have a whole second album of music that I gotta work on. Well, not that that I want to work on and edit and re-record songs and writing and all that. And it was real humbling to be like, to look at it. Like, I got songs with collaborations, and it could be rough when you got a song with somebody that they collaborated on it, but it's not ready yet. And then for me, I'm like, oh, well, I feel bad because it should come out. You put the work in. It's like, yo, everything is on Yah's time. So this is a real humbling experience, knowing that it's on Yah's time. And that's what I thought about with these olives. Because on here, I think it says it on this. What is it? There's like a little metal tag in this or something. But it says that essentially these olives bear fruit on the 3rd year. And I'm going to trust the Most High rather than the tag on these olives, because I got them at clearance from Lowe's. Check out your Lowe's clearance section. I got them at clearance on Lowe's for $8. So that's cool. $8. $8 for the olive tree, man. $8 for the olive tree on Lowe's clearance, man. And that's just another thing I think about. This is clearance. Like, they're going to throw these in the garbage. These olive trees were going to go in the trash. They're on clearance. They're on the way out. And the Most High had a purpose for them. He let me buy them. Same thing with nursing school. I'm 30 years old. I've talked to people. And when I say I'm going back to school at 30, they're like, I ain't going back to school. It's too late for me. I'm 30 years old. And it's like, who are we to decide what's late and what's early? We don't even know what year it is according to the Bible, right? They say it's 2026 AD, 3 BC. Like, that's man's time. We don't know what number year it is. They probably knew back in the day, but since the dispersion, we don't really know. And contrary to popular belief, I think that's pretty cool. I think it's cool that we don't know. Because like what it says here, it says, my favorite verse in this Torah portion, and thou shalt command the children of Israel that they bring you pure olive or olive, not olive oil, KJV, oil olive, not olive oil, pure oil olive, beaten for the light, to cause the lamp to burn always. We don't know what year it is. You could count a year, right? Like, we in the 6th month, 2nd day of the 6th month, but we don't know what year. Like, is it 5,600? Is it 7,800? We don't know, right? But we know what day it is. It's Shabbat. It's Saturday. It's the 2nd day of the 6th month. It's the afternoon. It's, what time is it? 16:32 on a 24-hour clock, 4:32 on a 12-hour, right? And what does it say? For the lamp to burn always. We cook with olive oil. The Most High loves olive oil. He wants it to burn, to keep the light on in the menorah. And he gives us olives. All the things that he uses for his tabernacle that you read in this are things that we use. Daily stuff. Olive oil. You eat lamb, you eat sheep, all these things. I just think it's beautiful that the things he wants from us are things that he gives us. Essentially, he just wants us to share with him. And that's a good father, in my opinion. Well, not in my opinion, that's the facts, That's how I am with my kids. I share everything I have with them in the hopes that one day when I get old, they share what they have with me. And then that's takes me to the next verse that I like, the other part of my favorite part before we wrap up here. Exodus chapter 28, verse 2, where it says, "And you shall make holy garments for Aaron your brother, for glory and for beauty." Moses, the second brother, the brother who was an Egyptian prince, the brother, if you know the story of Moses, man, that guy lived a very eventful life, man. And he has to make a garment for his older brother for glory and for beauty, for splendor and for beauty, for him to lead the people as the high priest and to pass on to his sons. Moses has sons. For those of you guys who don't know the Bible story, Moses has sons. It's Gershom and I think Eliezer. I don't know the name of the second son off the top of my head. But the point is he got two sons, right? And he is totally fine with passing on the mantle of leader, with preparing his older brother and his sons for the mantle of leadership. We all got a role, man, right? Like, I'll give you a perfect example. This is one of the responses that I love when I tell people that I'm going to nursing school, when I'm working as a medical assistant, when I get a patient. They say, "Oh, you going to school?" I say, "Yeah, I'm going to nursing school." "Why you don't want to be a doctor?" Straight up, like they'll just be like, why you not going to school to be a doctor? You should be a doctor. And I receive it as a compliment because I take great care in doing my job and looking out for the people. I love it. I love taking care of people. I love patient care. I love it. I love when people come in sad and I'm able to make them laugh and then make them happy, But yeah, they say it as a compliment. Why are you not going to be a doctor? Or some people say like, why are you not going to be a doctor? Whatever. And I always say, no, I want to be a nurse. And some people be like, no, you should be a doctor. And it's just like, nah, I want to be a nurse. My ultimate goal is to be nurse practitioner and do a whole lot of that. We could talk about that another time. But I like that role of support. And that's something that in my opinion, that is not good in American culture is this hustle culture that everybody got to be the CEO. Everybody got to be the top, right? Everybody want to be the high priest. You read about that. We're going to read about that later on in Numbers. If you go to Numbers with Korah, it wasn't enough that he was a Levite and he got to be around the Most High's presence and be a part. Nah, he wanted to be high priest, like you don't got to be the big dog to be a big dog. For lack of a better word. You don't have to be the CEO of a Fortune 500 company to prove that you're the best. You don't have to be a doctor to prove that you're proficient at providing adequate patient care. You don't have to be the president to demonstrate that you're a good leader. All you got to do is be yourself. There's people that aren't good leaders, but they're good supporters. They're leaders, and we're all leaders in our own right. We see this with Moses, Aaron, all the people in the Bible who have held some form of leadership or responsibility. They strived in their own right, right? You might not be the best baker, but you're really good at washing dishes. When it comes to washing dishes, nobody can beat you. Be proud of that. And if somebody says, why are you a dishwasher? Why you don't want to be a baker? Yo, the Most High blessed me with the ability to be a dishwasher. I leave the baking to the bakers, right? Why are you not a doctor? Why you want to be a nurse? Because the Most High blessed me with the ability to do it. So I'm going to tell him no. You know, and that's what's in this, man. Is staying in your role. And Aaron's garment for the high priest was for glory and for beauty. In Genesis chapter 1, when the Most High made man and the animals and everything, he said it was good. Right? And that was, I guess, the big Sabbath Journal takeaway with this that I got with just this past week with hosting people. I don't have a huge house, you know. I don't have a whole bunch of money. I don't have a mansion or a pool or any of that. And I could be self-conscious, right? And I could say, man, I don't have a pool. How am I have people over in my house and I don't have a pool? How am I going to entertain them? We ain't doing in a pool to do nothing. We ate and we all had conversation. And people had a great time just by eating, sharing, hugging each other, kissing each other, praying together for food and having a conversation. It don't take much to have a good time. It don't take much to do a good job. You don't got to jump through hoops to be the best, man. Just be you. Just be you. Moses dressed up his brother beautifully to lead the people. Right? Moses was brave enough to walk up the mountain. Moses was brave enough to look Pharaoh in the face and say, hey, the Most High said, let his people go. He just did what he was told. When we do what we told, you know, it doesn't make your life easier. That's one thing that I've learned in this walk. Having a relationship with the Most High and keeping his commandments has brought me peace. It has brought me a peace that I cannot describe with words. In the midst of my own personal issues and in the midst of this world. Having peace in a relationship with him does not change what I deal with on a day-to-day. Having peace in my relationship with him does not mean that, Abba forbid, somebody feels some type of way about me and they try to do something to me that they're not going to be able to do it. You know what I'm saying? But it's the peace in knowing my life is in his hands. So I'm worried about doing his will, and whatever comes, so be it. It doesn't make my life easier. It doesn't make my life harder. It's just made me more in tune with the goal of just wanting to live my life, man. Day by day, one day at a time, for better and worse, man. What does it say in Ecclesiastes, man? Oh, what's that one verse in Ecclesiastes? Hold up. I just want to find this verse. It's a beautiful verse, man. Hold on. It's in Ecclesiastes chapter 7, man. Here we go. Hold on. Better is the end. Here we go. Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 14. It says in the KJV, in the day of prosperity, be joyful. But in the day of adversity, consider. God also has set the one over against the other to the end that man should find nothing after him. In the day of gladness, in the day of joy, be happy. And in the day of sadness, be sad. You know, one thing that could be a little rough is, you know, sometimes I'll go on YouTube Live or, you know, I'll watch videos and I'll see people in these big congregations, all keeping Shabbat together, right? All sharing, all keeping the feast day. 100 people, 80 people, just 10 people, right? And I'm like, oh man, I'm out here in the middle of nowhere, man. It's like the wilderness, like. And then every time I've said that, I've had to stop myself, like, because I'm like, wait a minute. I got my wife, I got my kids, I got my father-in-law, my mother-in-law, I got my mom flying down from New York, and she's keeping the Sabbath with me. Hey, we may not have guitars and an auditorium and all this stuff that other people got, but we got each other, man. And that's what matters. And that's what it is. It's like, yo, you're not gonna be the CEO, you're not gonna have this. But having something is better than nothing. And there's some people who say, well, I'm the only one in my family who lives by myself, and I'm the only one in my apartment keeping the Sabbath, man. Like, even though you may have people in your life who love you and care about you that don't necessarily keep the commandments, you got people who love you. You got people who care about you. Like, we not, as much as we like to think that we all alone, we not all alone. We usually have that dilemma when we feel alone in the endeavor that we would like to have other people with us. Which again brings me back to that verse, Ecclesiastes 7:14. In the day of prosperity be joyful, but in the day of adversity consider God also has set the one over against the other, to the end that man should find nothing after him. Because it's not our responsibility to know what comes after us. It's our responsibility to do what we got to do right now. And even though we're not high priests, the Most High has given us these bodies for splendor and for beauty, depending on how we use them. Because the same way, you can be beautiful. There's people that are let me bring it back real quick. Ugly is not this. It's not the face, right? It's not the face. It's a behavior. It's a behavior. There's people that are beautiful with this, but ugly on the inside. And people who are ugly, quote unquote, like Hunchback of Notre Dame, but beautiful on the inside. And all of that is temporary. Because the second the beautiful person who is behaving in an ugly way repents from that, their countenance is restored, right? Or if a ugly person, quote unquote, starts behaving in a very unbecoming fashion, is ugly, right? These are all behaviors, but they can all be restored, man. That's why I got that song that go Teshuvah, Teshuvah, Teshuvah. Repent, man. Repent. To turn back. And that was another thing with this Torah portion this week that took place too. Was my daughter at her first week of school learned about Helen Keller. And the story of Helen Keller is beautiful. I love Helen Keller, man. This girl, she was born normal, got a fever, was blind, became blind and deaf. And my daughter learned about her, and she was like so excited, Helen Keller. And we got to talk about it, and then we cut on the movie, The Miracle Worker. Yo, that movie is good. The Miracle Worker. Watch the black and white one, 1962. That movie was good, and that movie made me think about this Torah portion too, because when we were reading it, my son asked me, he's like, Dad, what's a priest? And I was like, a priest is a servant, and that's what the children learned today for the Torah portion, was a priest is a servant, but like the chief servant, right? Like Messiah, he's our high priest, but he serves us. He's our leader, but he serves us. He delivered us from death into eternal life. Go ask your Fortune 500 CEO trying to be a billionaire Whatever. Go ask him to do something like that, right? But we watched it, and man, that movie made me cry, man. That was such a powerful movie because it's real life. Helen Keller, she was blind and deaf, and her teacher was Anne Sullivan. She was a woman who was blind, and she was in an asylum, in an orphanage. So check it out. Back in the day, you know, if people had a child that was undesirable, right? Because back then they didn't have doctors like they have now, like, oh, my kid needs hearing aids and your health insurance covers it, and so on and so forth. That wasn't like that back in the day. And they were gonna give her up, man. This girl who was blind and deaf, because they associated it with her being incapable. I'm not gonna use the R word because I don't want this getting shut down, but that's what they use, right? Incapable. And so they let this girl raise hell, man. Like, she was sticking her hand in the food, throwing tantrums, going crazy. And the way this teacher, Anne Sullivan, got her to behave was teaching her humanity, because that's what people did. If you had a kid with issues, that they treated them like an animal. And in some countries, they still do that, where they keep a person with disabilities, they keep them in the back room. Like in the Goonies, where they go, you know, how they kept homie in the back room in the Goonies. That still happens. I saw that in Dominican Republic. I had a cousin who was a little, you know, he needed some help, and they just kept him in the back. You know, that's just life, man. That's life. But anyway, this teacher, what she did was she proved that Helen Keller was capable of learning, and that there was a human behind the blindness and deafness. And the parents was just, they weren't doing a good job, because they were treating their child like a lost cause. And that's what was so powerful to me, because this lady who was blind understood that these parents are going to throw this kid in an asylum, man. Like, you guys should look up what asylums were back in the day, man. These are miserable places, man. That's worse than dying, being put in one of those places. And that lady worked really hard to demonstrate that all because you blind, all because you deaf, does not mean that you are incapable. Being incapable is a choice. And she says something, this is what I want to wrap it up with right here, because next week's Torah portion is I think it's Kitisa or something. I don't know, with the bull. I don't know off the top of my head. I don't got the list on me. Hold up, let me just check real quick. Next week's Torah portion is Kitisa. We're with the golden calf, and this is important to think about, man. Is these in the movie, Anne Sullivan says, in the case of Helen Keller, this lady who was blind and deaf, that the parents gave up on her. She taught her how to read and how to speak, because she didn't give up on her, right? She said, the greatest sin, the original sin, is giving up. Yo, that shook me to my core, man. I shed a tear when I saw that scene in that movie. That's how powerful. She said, the greatest sin, the original sin, is giving up. Moses could have gave up I don't know how many times. Messiah in this flesh suit with the same temptations we have in the flesh didn't give up. The martyrs of the faith, Paul, us, if we choose to live today. Hey, if you choose to wake up this morning and pay your bills on time and feed your kids and take a shower and brush your teeth, you're not giving up, right? But it takes effort. It takes effort. This is the original sin. And when I heard it first in the movie, when she was like, you know, the original sin's giving up, I was like, and I really thought about it, like, yeah, that was the original sin in the garden, was giving up. It was giving up. I just want to go there real quick, man. Genesis chapter 3. Here we go. And this is what I'm gonna say when it comes. It is. Here we go. Genesis chapter 3, right? The Most High told them, do not eat from that tree. Which means, yo, trust him. Stay steadfast, right? Don't break the covenant. Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which the Lord God had made. And he said unto the woman, yea, has God said, ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden? Boom. Putting doubt in his mind, putting doubt in her mind. Hey, Pops, good one. Yeah, this is my father-in-law, Cornelius. Cornelius didn't give up. We could talk about that. Cornelius didn't give up. Peter didn't want nothing to do with it, but he didn't give up. He listened what the Most High said, and he let Cornelius in. Here we go. And the woman said unto the serpent, we may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God has said, you shall not eat of it, neither shall you touch it, lest you die. There we go. Steadfast right there. Hey, the Most High said we can't eat from this. Boom. That was it. That's it. Turn around. Go home. Go home, Roger. And the serpent said to the woman, you shall not surely die. For God doth know that in the day you eat thereof, then your eyes shall be open, and you shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. In the psalm, it says, know ye not that you are gods, man? We were living with God. But the serpent was so like, you will be as gods. If you living with God, amongst God, walking with God, what does that make you? But we lost it, man. We lost our form. We were one with the Most High up in that garden, man. But what happened? Here's where we go. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat. They could live forever. Eternal. And then they got death, right? But there we go. This is what it is. And her husband ate it with her. They gave up. Everything they knew to be true, they gave it up on a lie. That was the original sin, giving up. And that Helen Keller movie, Helen Keller would be bugging out in that movie, man. And that lady, man, I was joking with my wife. I said, man, that Ann Sullivan lady, she's the original child psychologist. Because that girl, like she was slapping her, going crazy. And when the little girl would slap her, she'd slap her back. When she throw her food on the floor, she'd make her pick the food up. You understand? Like she wasn't giving up on this little girl. And that's what she said. The original sin was giving up. Splendor and beauty, man. Knowing our role. Knowing my role. Those were the things that I was just thinking about this past week. Getting this olive tree that was going to get thrown away pretty soon, man. They're going to throw it in the trash. It's clearance. They got to clear it out. Wrap your head around that. This beautiful tree got to get cleared out. I wonder if they donate them. I feel like they throw them away. I don't know. But the Most High blessed me with the opportunity to take them home. Make some olive oil out of it, man. All praise to the Most High. Hey, y'all have a good one, and I hope to see you next week for the next Sabbath Journal. Shalom.